Hello, friends. Welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner. I'm your host today, Robert Imbriale, and I've been coaching now since, 1995. I think this is the first time that I got actually paid for coaching was back in 1995. And it's really been fascinating to see all the changes, not just with my clients, but also the changes that have been happening in society. A lot of changes that happen around us. You know, people act differently. They've got different priorities today than they did way back in 1995. And I was thinking this morning about how quickly we forget. And I was thinking about that these last 2 years. We know they've been a little bit tough, right? They've been a little bit challenging on people. And I was thinking about that and I said, wow, these last 2 years, what is it going to look like 5 years from now? Will we even remember? And I thought, well, how about 2019? Do we remember what really was 2019? What was going on back then? A lot of us have forgotten. I was talking to a friend this week and asked him about, hey, do you remember the way things were back in 2019? And he goes, no, I had to really stop and think about it. It was really strange because it was like one of those things like, wow, it feels like it's been an eternity. It's been 2 very interesting years, right? And I really have a strong feeling that we're at a turning point. And I think this is the 3rd year of this. And I think what's going to happen is things are going to get shifted around. We're going to go through a little bit more turbulence. And I think by the end of the year, we should start to see things settling down or settling back into what we would consider a more normal way of being. But we're not there yet. We're here and we still have to deal with this day by day. And I tell everyone, it's very simple. Just remember to stay strong, stay as positive as you can. And I know there are days I come in and I'm just not positive. I'm looking at everything and I'm feeling down. I got to dig. I got to work at that. And it's something that doesn't come easy for everyone. Some people it does easier than others. But I think we all have those moments where we're not quite as positive as we want to be. And the question becomes, okay, what can you do in this moment to bring your energy back up so you start feeling confident and positive again about what's going on, or not so much today, but what could happen, what the world could look like, just take it out 6 months, 12 months, that kind of thing. And I think if we focus there, it does raise our vibration, raises our energy. We feel so much better when we're able to do that. And, it's one of the tricks, if you will, of getting your vibration up and feeling good and being ready to get into that motion that is your life. And a lot of people are saying, you know what, I'm tired of this. I'm fed up with it. I just want to go back to the way things were. And that's a long time ago. I don't know that that's going to be that easy to go back to the way things were. I don't know that's going to happen that quickly. But, we want to be positive about it. We want to be as excited as we can about what could happen, in 6 months, 12 months from now. But even if you took it out 5 years, and you say, okay, 5 years from now, are we still going to be involved in this? I really doubt it. I think things are going to be shifted so much that our world's going to be back to a different kind of normal, probably a better normal, I would assume, than it has been. We're getting clarity on a lot of things we don't like, things we do want, and we're able to make some new decisions. I know I have made a lot of new decisions, and one of them was doing this show and changing the focus of this show along the way. And I'm helping a lot more people now, and it's really opening up a lot of different doors that I didn't know were even there. And, it's every week you're seeing the show and I'm making a little bit, little subtle changes here and there. And every week, if you're paying attention, you're going to see that as we go along. And I'm not done yet. There's a lot of more things I want to do here. Today, I wanted to talk about one of the things that really cause us to lock horns. And it's been in our society for the last couple of years, especially prevalent, that we've been bumping heads and bumping heads and bumping heads. And it's this idea of facts, right? The fact is, here's my fact. Here are the facts I believe. Here's the facts that I've been given. Here are the facts that I've seen. Well, if it's truly a fact, should there be any argument? And you might say, well, no, technically, no. But there's a lot of things that go into facts. So we're going to talk about that today. And maybe it'll help you really understand it so you don't get into those situations where you're locking horns with someone. And, if you go back, I was thinking about this. You go back to, let's say, the 70s. And you listen to a newscast back then. The newscasters back then were told they're going to give you the facts as they know them. And there's no opinion. And you say, well, that's pretty dry. Well, for today's environment, it wouldn't work, right? You have to have the opinion piece in there because every reporter, every news story, everyone has an opinion. And when you know the opinion, because they say things like, and here's what that could mean. They start future pacing. That's the opinion side, right? Here's what it could mean. You don't know what it could mean. You're a journalist. How would you know what it's going to mean? So that's where they bring in the opinion. So in the old days, they would say, here's what happened. Here's who was involved. here's the information we know, and they'd go on to the next story. They wouldn't tell you, here's what that could mean. They wouldn't tell you, that's really bad because. They wouldn't tell you any of that stuff. They would just let it go. So a fact is a fact. So I looked up fact. I wanted to see what fact was. And I said, okay, let's just go on to, one of the dictionary websites and let's look up the word fact. So what we found is when I go in here and look at this, a fact is something that is proven to be true. That's it. A fact is something that is proven to be true. So why then is there so many arguments? Why do so many people not agree on the facts, right? Why is it that if the fact is the fact, if this table is made of wood that I'm sitting in front of, well, that's the fact. That's the truth of it. But then, there are a lot of people who would add, well, it's probably got a plastic coating, or maybe it's got asbestos or arborite or whatever it is, that coating that's on here. I don't know what the coating is, but it's not all wood. So now you start to add to the fact or change the fact a little bit. And it happens a lot in our society. And it's really fascinating to watch. So I said, what is it that causes us to be so confrontational, if you will, over the facts? What's the deal? And I thought about it and I said, okay, so what really affects facts? One of the things you'll see is that facts are, controlled by perspective. I was taking flying lessons many, many years ago. I was taking flying lessons. Never actually got my pilot's license. I wanted to do that, but it was just before 9/11. And then when 9/11 hit, they shut down all the places that all general aviation was shut down, and certainly the school I was taking my flying lessons at. And the school actually went out of business because they were shut down for so long. They ran out of money. And they couldn't sustain. I think it was 90 days. They were unable to fly, unable to sell courses, unable to sell flights, that kind of thing. And they were close to the edge and they went out. So I never continued. I probably should have. But I remember one day we were flying and we were coming in for a landing. The runway is way ahead of us. And there's an airport where there were two runways side by side. And there was a plane landing ahead of us on the runway to the right. And what it looked like from where I was in the air at that time, probably at 1,500 feet up, it looked like that plane was way off course, that it was hundreds of feet from being lined up with the runway. And I told my instructor, I said, that guy's going to end up in the woods. And he says, no, he's not. He's going to be fine. It's just your perspective. To me, that was fact. The fact was what I saw with my eyes, he was way off course. But my perspective was such that made that true fact for me, right? But sure enough, the airplane, I watched him as we're landing. I'm trying to land this plane, and he landed, and he was top dead center on the runway, exactly the way he should have been. And it was a powerful lesson because this idea of perspective changed everything. So we absorb a fact, we hear a fact, and based on our perspective, we determine what that fact means. Is it true? Is it not true? Is it believable? Is it not believable? And every one of us has a different perspective, right? We have a different perspective. And where the perspective shaped, where does that come from? Well, it comes from the things we picked up along the way, the beliefs that we have, right? We believe about this, we believe this, and this. We've got a whole stack of things that we believe. And we talked about beliefs in the last podcast. So we've got all these beliefs. Beliefs affect our perspective. And when we're given a fact, those things factor in to how we interpret that fact. So we're never talking about straight on facts anymore. It's been a long time. We don't do that. We talk about, our perspective of the fact, our belief about the fact. And this is where we end up, bumping heads and locking horns, if you will. So we've got a lot of beliefs. And it's really interesting because sometimes it's hard to know what it is getting in the way, what belief it is that's getting in the way, or what belief is shaping, your interpretation of what you're hearing as far as a fact goes. Now, in the old days, when they gave you the facts, that's fine. Use your beliefs and your perspective and all the rest of it. And you're coming to it and you're making a decision about what that fact means. And that's okay. You can do that. And we're doing that a lot today. But because we're so much more polarized and we're not as close as we used to be a lot closer. The beliefs were fairly similar. There were only 3 channels. There were only 3 sources of news. There were maybe 2 newspapers in the town you lived in. They weren't that different. You read one, they read the other. Not a big difference, right? But we're so polarized today. The gap is so much bigger that everything seems like way out of proportion, right? Someone sees the fact and they believe this about it. Someone sees the same fact and they have this belief about it. And it's so different. And it's like there's nothing in between. There's no way we could reach out because the gap is so wide. And this happens again and again. So You got to remember that when you hear facts on the news, or somebody gives you facts, or you come across something on Facebook and you say, well, I'm believing that as a fact, and here's how I interpret it. The other person interpreting it differently is not necessarily wrong. It's different, but it's not wrong. And we've got to learn to listen to where they're coming from, because we can learn something. So I always do that, when I hear people with different beliefs or in different interpretations of the facts, I go, that's interesting. I hadn't considered that. And then I'll run it through my own filters and say, okay, does it make sense? Does it fit with what my beliefs are? Does it fit about, the experiences I've had? And if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. I don't make them wrong. They just have a different set of beliefs. That's okay. We can have that. That we can actually have that and still be friends. And by the way, I've got a lot of friends who are completely on the other side of where I believe. They're still my friends. I don't hold it against them. It's like they have their beliefs for that reason. They've been through different experiences than I have. They've been exposed to different sources of media. Fine, they have different beliefs. What else affects how we interpret facts? Well, our education, right? I went to Catholic school. Well, not everyone went to Catholic school. Some people went to public school. Some people went to private school. And we were exposed to different interpretations of the facts, right? Everything from math to English to, the books that they made us read, and, the conversations we had, and the friends that we had, and the religion that we were exposed to. All of this plays a role in forming who we are. Now, it doesn't make you wrong because you're different, right? Our education is our education. My education never stopped. And I know for some people, and I was this way too, by the way, high school, man, I couldn't wait to get out. I could not wait to get out of high school because I hated the education, hated the system, hated it so much until I got to college. And then I was like, ooh, this is fun. This is so different. Wow, I've got more responsibility. I've got more freedom. I've got flex in between classes. I'm not running for the bell to get into the class at a certain time. And the homework is the homework. It's different. I had a lot more autonomy. And as all of a sudden, I started to like learning. So I did a lot of college. I did actually have more college degrees than somebody with a master's degree. But since I didn't play the game, I don't actually have the master's degree, but I have more credits than somebody who does. I decided that I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to go my own ways. I used those opportunities to learn the things I needed and wanted to learn, and not the rest of it. But that was me. I'm a little bit different sometimes with that. So education became a lot of fun for me, and I never stopped learning. Every day I'm learning. That's why I listen to people with different beliefs, because maybe I can learn something. I don't care if it's the janitor. I don't care if it's a CEO. I don't care if it's a homeless guy. I can learn from everybody. And that's a unique perspective. I know not a lot of people have that, but those that do can recognize that, yeah, anyone can teach us. Anyone can teach us. I look to anyone that I meet, anyone I come across, and I listen to them. I may not agree with them, and if I don't agree with them and there's no connection, thank you very much. Move on. It's fine. That's not the end of the world. I don't hate them. I don't mock them. They've had different education. They have different perspectives. They have different beliefs. Can I learn something from them? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they're so far out that I can't make that connection. That's fine too. So our education plays a big role. Big, big, big role. And the other thing that plays a big role in how we interpret these things called facts is our environment. Now, what in the world do I mean by your environment? Right? It's everything that's around you. So your environment could be the media. It could be social media. It could be the friends that you hang out with. It could be the friends that you're friended on social and what they're sharing. All of this shapes our belief system, right? It shapes how we interpret the facts. And you might look at some facts and just laugh and go, that's no way that's true. Yeah, there's a lot of false facts out there. Absolutely true. The idea of facts, we've kind of, messed with that definition as well. So what is a fact? Well, a fact today is left up to a lot of interpretation. And I think that's what gets us into a lot of trouble. So your environment plays a big role, and the people you hang out with play a big role. And you're not going to hang out. Typically, you're not going to go bowling with the guys who don't believe anything that you believe, right? It'll be a hard evening. It's not what we want to do. You want to go hang out with the guys who believe the same way you believe. And that environment sort of impacts, how you interpret facts and what your beliefs are and where your values are and what rules you live by. All of that, you'll find people who are similar in that respect. So I tell you, this is important to understand. It's like people aren't wrong because they're different. People are wrong because their whole fabric, everything that brought them to that moment where you're having that discussion about that one topic, is not one topic. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, years and years of experiences, environment and friends and media and all the exposures that they have. And it's very different for a lot of them, right? They're not all the same. And, if we can learn again to respect that, somehow in the past few years, we've forgotten that rule, forgotten that game, and we just kind of like dismiss everyone who doesn't believe the way we believe. I'm very strong in my beliefs. I know exactly where I stand, and, but I'm always open at the same time on listening to a different perspective, because if there's something that I've missed or I've misinterpreted or some experience I've had that's led me to this conclusion, but that experience really wasn't that valid, I'm open. I want to learn. I want to be better. I want to be stronger. I want to be smarter. And the only way to do that sometimes is exactly, that is just being open. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to change your beliefs when you're open. It just means you're listening. And listening is one of the kindest things we can do. Giving of your time, giving of your attention. You know how good it feels when somebody listens to you. You know how good it feels for me that you're listening to me today. It feels really good. Thank you for that. And if we do that, then we're giving them value. We're giving them of our time. We're giving them something that you couldn't put a price tag on. So let's think of it that way. Let's just make things a lot easier on ourselves. Let's try to lock horns a little bit less. And let's be a little bit stronger in how we approach life and not be so quick to judge. I know that's easier said than done sometimes, but I think we can do it. And if you really can't agree with somebody, it's okay to say, thanks, I got to go. I've got something going on, and just leave. Get out of the conversation. It's okay. If you can't get there, you can't get there. It's not the end of the world. Don't do this. This is not what we're looking for. We don't want to be locking horns and bumping heads. It's not fun. Okay, I want to leave you with a couple things. I want to give you a gift. Why not, right? You guys deserve a gift. I want you to go to crushit22.com/gifts. And on there, you're going to find that if you are a business owner, and you would like a strategy session with me, I'm giving a free strategy session. It's a 44-minute strategy session. We get on the phone. You tell me about your business. You tell me where you're struggling, where you want to go next. And I will give you some direction in terms of how to get past whatever the obstacle is and what the next step should be for you. And a lot of people love being able to spend that time. We do it via Zoom, so I get to see you face to face, and that's always fun to meet the people that I work with. And once you go there, you're going to see this page here. Just click on that big orange button, and you'll be able to schedule a time to meet with me. And like I said, we'll meet via Zoom, and it'll be a whole lot of fun. Okay. I want to say thank you for spending time with me today. And if you care to, if you like this, please share it with your friends and followers. That helps me and helps other people as well who could benefit and get value out of what we're sharing here today. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great week. We'll talk soon.